Live from the D&D studios in downtown Boston atop the Hancock Building, it's showtime. Welcome to Hey, did you ever see that movie? I'm your host, Des, and as always, I'm joined by my lovely little co-host, Lynn.
We're gonna need a bigger boat.
And joining us again, the podcaster with a degree in terror, Tony.
Hey, how's it going?
Tonight, we will be discussing the 1975 drama movie, Jaws, written by Peter Benchley and Carl Gottlieb, directed by Steven Spielberg, starring Bruce, Roy Schneider, Robert Shaw, and Richard Dreyfuss. As always, this podcast will contain spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie, go watch it, then come back and listen to the podcast. So please take a moment, like and subscribe and comment if you're listening on YouTube. It really helps the show. And if you're listening on Apple, please leave a 5-star review. Next week, we will be discussing Hall Pass with Mikki and Tony. So we'll get a little yuck fest there. Tony, ever see Hall Pass?
Which one is that?
It's with
I want to say yeah.
Owen Wilson and guy from Vacation, the remake.
No, I haven't seen that one.
Okay.
No.
Oh, actually, it was We're the Millers.
I was gonna say I like that one.
Yeah, so it's that guy and the guy and Owen Wilson from yeah, Okay.
Oh boy.
And now we're gonna go to the mailbag.
So Tracy wrote in to say that she is excited to know that she's not the only person that hated 16 Candles as much as I did. And she also mentioned, because she heard that we were doing Jaws next, The Shark is Broken. Now, Tony, did you get to see The Shark is Broken?
I did.
Did you like it?
I not as much as I wanted to.
Gotcha.
You know what? If I saw it with Ian Shaw in it, maybe. I mean, everybody was good in it. We'll get to it, but okay.
Okay.
Why the question? Did Tracy say something like that?
No, Tracy was just saying, she was saying how it was a stage play because she loves stage plays. So
it was really well done. It was good.
Okay.
It wasn't as funny as they said it was going to be, and it wasn't as dramatic as they said it was going to be. So it just maybe my expectations were high. That's something I'm guilty of almost 90% of the time.
Fair enough.
I will own that.
Okay, let's do some opening thoughts on this one. I'll get it started. So, of course, I have seen this movie more times than I can count. And actually, we've already reviewed it once for the podcast. It was the second episode that we ever did. So you can go back and check that out. I mean, honestly, I listened to it before preparing for this, and you literally can't even understand a word that I'm saying. So it was time to redo it. We did not do this movie justice. So there's no question. It's an amazing movie. I think the real question here today is this a perfect 5? Let's find out. Dylan, were you familiar with the movie before preparing for it for the second time?
Yes, I was very familiar with it.
Tony, you ever see Jaws?
I've heard of it.
Okay.
A few times.
Okay.
Yeah, this is one of the handful of movies that I obsessed over. Grew up watching it. Grew up down the Cape, so it was pretty much it was second nature to be in the ocean. And this movie just made it really hard to do that. And I saw it when I was a kid in the movies. I was the first, I was there when I was 8, so it was perfect.
As was I. We had Star Wars, we had Jaws. It was a wonderful time to be going. Texas Chainsaw Massacre for your young Tony.
Dawn of the Dead, right? Revere Drive and Dawn of the Dead and Amityville Horror double feature.
Oh, that's fucking great.
First one that traumatized me.
Sweet dreams, little Tony. Would you like us to leave the door cracked? Oh, yes, please. Okay. With a box office budget of $9 million and a box office gross of $260.6 million, this was considered a great white success. Oh, Jesus.
Oh, boy, that was
I appreciated that. I appreciated that.
Okay. All right, I got a quick fast five for us today. Nothing special. It's a little goofy, but we'll go for it anyway. I'm going to call this one Spielberg versus Spielberg. I'm going to give you two Spielberg movies. You're just going to tell me which one is better, basically. Number one, we've got Raiders of the Lost Ark or Jaws. Tony.
Jaws.
Okay. Please, contestants, wait till the question's over before hitting the button. Glenn, which one is better?
I'm gonna have to go Raiders. We came into the Raiders music. I mean, when we got married, that was our entrance music. So
yes, it probably
biased.
should have been the theme to Jaws, but we went with Raiders. The correct answer is Raiders of the Lost Ark because it's a better movie. Okay. Number two, E.T. or Jurassic Park. Tony, which one is better?
Jaws.
Contestants, please only answer with answers from the group of questions being presented. Tony.
Now, if you ask 10-year-old Tony, it would be E.T. without a doubt. But as an adult, Jurassic Park was just an amazing visual, acting, score. I mean, there's no denying how awesome it was. E.T. it hasn't aged as well as I remembered it being when I was a kid. It doesn't hit me as hard as it did. Whereas Jurassic Park, it's a thrill ride. It's a roller coaster. It's great.
Dylan.
I have to agree with Tony. If you're asking young me, it was E.T. I was obsessed with E.T., but I know better that Jurassic Park is a far superior movie.
Well, I picked this one for their similarities because as a young child, this was the first time I ever saw an alien on the screen. Exciting. This is the first time I ever saw a dinosaur on the screen. Also very exciting. I thought the kids in the family in E.T. just felt so organic and real. It really had that magical feel. Whew, this is a tough one. It is. It's a tough one. But I think the right answer here is Jurassic Park. So there you go. Number three, Schindler's List or Saving Private Ryan. Tony, which one is better?
Ooh, that's good. I got to go Saving Private Ryan. That one hits me hard.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just drop it at that. Let's leave it there.
Lynn, which one did you like better?
I'm going to go Schindler's List based solely on cinematography. It's really beautifully shot.
I'm going to go with Schindler's List because it made a appearance in an episode of Seinfeld. Beep, beep, doop, boop. There you go.
Oh my God.
Number four.
He's so cultured.
The feel-good movie of the 90s, Schindler's List.
Twilight Zone, the movie, or Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Tony, which one is better?
Close Encounters, because Twilight Zone, the movie, wasn't Spielberg.
So it was.
No?
Yep.
Okay.
According to Google, it was.
Lynn, which one did you like better?
Oh, I'm going to go with Close Encounters.
And tell the fans why you're going with Close Encounters.
Because I've never seen Twilight Zone, the movie.
You fucking freak show. How did you miss fucking Twilight Zone, the movie? Wish him to the cornfield.
Really scary?
Oh, dude, Tony, you've seen Twilight Zone, the movie, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's fucking amazing.
It's good.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
The correct answer here, though, is Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I mean, it's a superior movie, but Twilight Zone, the movie, was very good. I enjoyed it very much. And finally, number five. This is going to be a double showdown. We're going to go Spielberg versus Spielberg, and we're going to go Cruise versus Cruise. So we're either going to have War of the Worlds or Minority Report. Tony, which one was better?
They're both crap.
I agree.
I'll go War of the Worlds just because the action was actually really, really good.
Dylan, which one?
I'm going to recuse myself because I've not seen either.
Oh, you fuck, dude. And yeah, why are you even on a movie podcast? Someone that hates movies.
And just so you know, I just checked. Directors for Twilight Zone, the movie, John Landis, Joe Dante, and Steven Spielberg.
I remember kick the can of Spielberg. So that's why I was like, you know why?
Because it's
Landis,
different episodes.
The controversy surrounding Landis overshadowed the whole movie for me. That's why.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I mean,
I'll own it.
It's a shoestring fucking Spielberg movie at best, but I wanted it in there. Okay. Correct answer is going to be War of the Worlds because Tom Cruise beats a man to death with a shovel in front of his daughter. Pretty fucking edgy.
Fucking wholesome.
Pretty wholesome. Okay, there you go. There's your fast five this week. All right, let me give you a little synopsis, and then we will set sail.
Oh man,
I'm just full of shit
is this
tonight.
gonna be all dad jokes
I
tonight?
love it. I'm sitting there loving it.
We were at the supermarket the other day. I got these fucking goofy Skechers shoes with these gigantic fucking soles. I mean, these are like, I could go out as Ace Frehley for fucking Halloween in these. Like, I'm not even kidding. These look like Ace Frehley shoes. And we're in line, and I'm like,
They're moon boots.
I'm talking to like the lady bagging the groceries. I'm like, no, really, you've got to check these shoes out. They'll really save your back at work. I mean, it's Lynn's just like, shut the fuck up.
We left, and I was like, that's like when like a little kid talks to the lady bagging the groceries, and she's like, okay, yeah,
little
all right.
Tony.
And he just wouldn't stop.
Does remember when we were cool?
Yeah.
Remember when we were musicians
It's a
and like
long
people were
time
like,
ago.
wow, they're in bands. They're really cool. Now we suck.
Dude,
Now we're talking about shoes to the bag lady.
Tony, the bagger was like, what, you didn't want to go with the Velcro? Okay. When a massive killer shark unleashes chaos on a beach community off Long Island, it's up to a local sheriff and a marine biologist, not George Costanza, and an old seafarer to hunt the beast down. There you go.
Seafarer? Is he afraid of the
He's
sea?
just scared of the
What's the
only
word?
bound if you veer from the
Seafarer.
water.
I said seafarer.
You just said
No,
fear.
check the tape. Check the tape. Radio. Right into the show. What did I say? Seafarer or seafarer? Okay.
Oh my god.
All right,
Here.
Lynn. Let's pull up the anchor. Go.
Set sail.
Set sail.
Oh my god.
No sails on this fucking show.
I'm going to apologize ahead of time that some of these interludes of me reading are long because there is so much in this movie. So I'm going to do my best to get through them quickly so we can get to speak to chatting.
All right, so here we go. Delyn is about to read the novelization of Jaws. Okay? So there you go.
I cut this thing down so much and it's still long. I'm sorry. All right. During an evening beach party on a New England coast, attractive Chrissy catches the eye of partygoer Tom and leads him away from the group to go skinny dipping in the ocean. Tom, quite drunk, passes out on the sand before he can even undress, but Chrissy, undeterred, strips down and dives into the surf. As Chrissy swims further from the shoreline, she pauses to tread water. An unseen creature notices Chrissy's paddling legs from beneath the surface and begins to approach her. Chrissy is quickly attacked by the creature, which grabs hold of her leg and, after a violent struggle, drags her below the waves. Her screams for help go unheard, and eerie silence follows her submergence. This opening scene is one of the most chilling, most dreadful scenes I've ever seen. It fucking freaks me out. Would a shark attack look like this? Probably not, but it's a movie, and if you just saw her get dragged beneath the waves, that wouldn't have been scary. This was terrifying and it inspired fear in me for sure. I also really love the juxtaposition of her screaming for help and the abject silence on the beach. And then back to her screaming and then the silence on the beach and then how silent it is when she's gone. It's a hit and run and it's fucking terrifying.
Yeah, that was a really, really nice use of sound and no sound. Really,
Yes.
Yeah, really fucking made her feel very alone out there in the ocean. So right off the bat, we get this great party scene on the beach, right? And like most movies from the 70s, like Chainsaw Massacre a couple of weeks ago, it feels so real world to me. I don't know these actors. It's just shot like beach footage, like somebody with a fucking camera out there. It's so great. And that's the magic of the era of the 70s and these movies. I just fall under the spell so easily, not knowing any of the actors and just the way these movies are shot. For some reason, they just cannot capture this look anymore. It's almost like the technology's been lost or something. Like Hollywood just doesn't understand how to give us Taxi Driver or Jaws or Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Everything feels washed now.
It really just comes down to it came down to budget. Everything's digital. Everything's way too expensive these days. If you go back and don't even go back. If you just look at some independent films these days that are coming out, they have the look, they have the atmosphere, they have the feel. They're just no one's seeing them. You have to go to film festivals to see movies like this. That's the difference. And there's so many undiscovered, these diamonds in the rough that are out there that are like these movies that are slowly coming out. But yeah, I mean, I agree. The 70s had a look, they had a feel, they had an attitude. And this is one of the first movies that came out that did that.
Yeah. So technology has pretty much like pushed Hollywood into the gutter. I mean, it's
just made it so sterile and, polished.
Yeah, just clean.
Too clean.
Yeah. And
Too clean.
in real life isn't clean. It isn't polished. Just come over to my house. We're fucking insane over here. I mean, the house is clean, but the relationship's a
him.
bit of a car wreck.
Oh,
Okay.
stop.
Well, I promised to not be as annoying after my nap today. I woke up, I'm like, wow, I'm really pushing her. Like, I could end up fucking on my second divorce if I'm not careful. So I'm like, babe, I'm gonna try not to be as annoying. She's like, all right, we'll see. I said, no problem. She's
Good
like, how
luck.
am I doing? It's 7. Where are we at? 7:30. So it's been 28 minutes. Doing pretty good. So
You're doing okay.
so we know in your traditional slasher movies that the killer hates teenagers, especially when they sneak off to have sex. Well, apparently killer sharks also hate teenage girls and teenagers sneaking off to have sex. So let us talk about the first shark attack. Like Dylan said, this one has a really spooky, organic feel. You really get the feeling like she's out way too deep in the ocean. Who fucking swims out that deep? We'll get to it, but I'm not going in past like my nipples.
Yeah, she's
And
near
that's-
a buoy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
she's near a
deep.
buoy. That's pretty far out.
She's,
Well, that's the thing. I mean, everybody did it back in the day till this fucking movie came out and ruined it for everybody. No one wants to go past you. No one goes above your neck anymore. Sorry.
No, do not go. Yeah, like, yeah, don't go past your neck. It's terrible.
Dude, I literally sit on the shore and just splash some water up on me, and I'm like, I went in.
Yeah, I mean, fuck that.
You do the monkey thing just on the
Yeah.
edge of the river. Just
Literally.
So she's out way too far, and it's terrifying. And like Delyn said, once she's screaming, and then they're showing the angle from the shore, and you can't hear her, you understand that there's nothing she can do to save herself. And her reaction to this shark tugging on her foot, this is genuine terror, and this is because the crew had a cable tied to the actress's ankle, and they would pull on it without telling her to get a gut reaction, and it was very, very successful.
Yeah, agreed.
To the point where as a kid, I really, like this movie, like Tony was saying, this had an impact on me. Like to this day, this had an impact on me. For instance, at this time in my life when I was around, 8, 9 years old, my grandfather had an in-ground swimming pool in the backyard, and I go there sometimes in the summer. And I'd swim at night, and they had the lights on in the pool, and it'd be dark outside. It was out in this backyard, and I can remember getting like totally freaked out, getting in my head, there's a shark in the pool, and like scrambling for the edge and scrambling out of the pool. And there's no shark, but it's like you've been conditioned to this point to where you're afraid to be in the water. Now I can go in a pool today without freaking out, but the ocean's not past my waist.
That's kind of the same feeling that you get when you're in the basement and
Yeah.
you have to go upstairs and you got to turn off the light and run up the stairs because you feel like something's chasing you from behind.
Fuck yeah.
Same feeling.
Yeah,
you mean
same,
there's not?
same feeling. Tony,
I mean, there might be.
these opening scenes, what did you got?
Dear God, everything. I mean, the thing we glossed over is the fact that the movie starts with this weird underwater sound,
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah,
then all
yeah.
of a sudden comes right up to something cruising through the water, and just the music. Come on, we got to address the score first.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Those two notes, the two notes, literally to this day, you hear them, you know what it is, you know it's terrifying, you know something's coming for you, you're screwed. It's pretty much, it is the theme for something stalking you.
Oh yeah.
Oh, 100%.
So I mean, just that, and the fact that it rises, dun, 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 and then we cut to the beach. So it shocks you into like, oh, all right, I guess that was nothing. And now we're here at the party. We go through it. All right, let's see where this is going to go. She goes in the water again. We're not conditioned up to this point to even fear anything, even though we know something bad is going to happen. We can see something looking at her up through the water from underneath. Now, again, as the geek that I am, I love this movie. I obsess about it. I know way more than I ever should about any movie. The fact that in the book, she just feels a tug at her. She doesn't feel pain. She puts her hand down where her foot should be, and it's gone.
Oh.
There's nothing like a nub of bone and warmth,
Oh shit.
Oh, my
like
God.
pulsing on her hand. And that's when she realizes there's something wrong, and that's when the second hit hits her. So, I mean, that in my head, and then watching the screaming, the praying to God, like, screaming for God to save her, like, that's guttural. That's instinctual. When you pray for God, your mother or your father, that's an instinct. That's a basic raw fear that hits you.
Yeah.
And that was done so perfectly, so accurately, and just terrifying for a PG movie. And again, there's some sort of weird, what's the thing where like everybody remembers things wrong? What's
Right.
that?
The
condition?
Mandela effect.
Yeah.
Mandela effect. I could have swore this was rated R. When it first came out, there was like 2 or 3 months where it might have been rated R. Maybe they took something out or whatever. But I mean, this is a PG movie, and this is the first thing we're hit with. Terrifying.
I wish that the movie had been rated R and we had got that shot. You know, we had got that shot of her reaching down and you know the cloud of blood and the ankle mutilated. I mean,
Again, I wouldn't want it because at that point we still don't know what's going on.
right.
I think it would have been exploitative. It would have turned into a drive-in movie. It would have turned into something that wouldn't have had the effect. I mean, that's why this movie works, and I'm sure we're going to get to it. The movie works because of what we don't see.
You make a
Yes.
good point, but the problem is we don't see a lot. That's the problem.
But that's why this movie is held up. If we saw the kids today, I showed it to my kid. I showed it to my son. He's like, "Shark looks so fake. It looks so stupid." I'm like, "Dude, you have no idea. You just
Yeah.
you can't." In your ADHD mind of what you're used to seeing, everything crystal clean, CGI, perfect rendered. This was terrifying as a kid.
Yeah, for me, there's only one shot where the fake shark fails the screen. Only one shot in the whole movie. It doesn't look perfect for sure, but it looks good enough in all the shots, except for
Mhm.
one. We'll get there.
Mhm.
Tony, yeah, this isn't a traditional horror movie by any means, but like you said with the beginning, we almost get the POV view from the killer, right? Looking at the victim. We're going to get the iconic music. It's not going to be, you know, or the do 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 do. We're going to get do 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 do. So it is kind of a traditional horror movie the way it starts out.
And again, this was 2-3 years before Halloween, Friday the 13th. None of them were there yet.
Is this really
This
before?
was this was 75, 76.
So this is
So they were taking
before Halloween. And
yeah, they
Yeah.
were taking a page out of their
Halloween
book.
was 79, 80, and Friday the 13th was 80.
wow, and you know they had to have taken notice of this formula.
Of course.
Now,
Yep.
what came first, this or Black Christmas?
Black Christmas by a year. That was 74, 73, 74.
That's why Black Christmas got such a high mark because it was really setting the
was the
bar for
first.
everybody. It was the OG. Because
Yeah.
I'm always like, well, how did that get so high on the list? And that
Because it was really good.
it was really good, and it was the
Yeah,
first.
it was
Good. All right, Delynn.
All right. The surrounding town of Amity is preparing for the upcoming Independence Day weekend, their most financially lucrative time of the year. The community depends on tourism as a major source of economic support and waits eagerly for each summer to arrive when herds of mainlanders come to savor Amity's shores. Martin Brody, Amity's chief of police, receives a call at home regarding Chrissy's disappearance. Following the report made by Tom that she was last seen off the coast, Brody goes to the beach with his deputy Jeff to search for clues. Hendricks soon stumbles upon the segmented remains of Chrissy washed up on the shore and being feasted upon by crabs. Back at the police station, Brody receives a call from the coroner who determines that Chrissy was the victim of a shark attack. Fearing for the safety of Amity's many swimmers, Brody immediately prepares to close the beaches until further investigation. His intentions are quickly noticed by Mayor Larry Vaughn, who, fearing for the income loss that would result from closing the beach, attempts to convince Brody that a shark attack is too hasty a conclusion and pressures him and the coroner to change Chrissy's official cause of death to mutilation by boat propeller. Bullshit. Brody remains dedicated to the safety of Amity's citizens and tourists, regardless of the financial tone the town might endure. However, Vaughn forbids him to close the beaches. So tourism is big business in these seaside towns. You have a few months to make your cash before the fall arrives. I get it. It's a fun fact. In 1975, somebody wrote an article about how sharks hate citrus, especially orange juice, and that if you drank some that day, the shark would be able to smell it in your system and would stay away from you. Sales of OJ soared, because this was right after the movie. Yeah. Sales of OJ soared, and they reported the highest sales ever. And shortly later, it was debunked, but they had made their money in the meantime.
Yeah, that was that rumor was put out by a Tropicana executive.
Executive.
For sure.
It worked.
Yeah. So in these shots, we're going to meet Roy and Ellen for the first time. And I noticed Ellen is sporting this really heavy New York accent. So right away, we know these two are not native to this island, right?
Right.
Next, Roy goes downstairs. He wants to get his coffee in the morning, and his kid comes in. He's cut his hand. You know, this is going to be the first blood in the movie. And I like this as a small setup for later because, as we all know, sharks can smell blood from miles away, right? So for me, this raises the stakes every time the kid gets into the water. You have to remember his hand is cut, you know? Roy gets a call. We don't hear the details, but we understand something bad has happened. And Roy is off to the beach. We get some great shots of the vineyard. Super nice. And this is where we see this iconic Amity billboard for the first time. And this is before the shark fin is added. just such a recognizable sign. It's such a spot in pop culture now that, it's beautiful. This is like, you could see this on fucking American Pickers, like Frank would pay, like, I'll give you $10,000 for the sign. I mean, we're going to have it redone. So just such a great sign. It's something you would put in your house if you were a fucking millionaire, or put it by your giant pool if you were fucking Bill Gates, Like we were saying, obviously Amity's not a real town. In reality, this is Martha's Vineyard. And Spielberg chose this location due to its shallow shoreline, from what I understand. It had like a 30-foot shoreline, and they were able to shoot the shark in this depth, but also they were able to leave the shark on the bottom of the ocean floor between shots. So it was
Can you
easier.
imagine if you were swimming and came across that?
Yeah, you do a little scuba diving down the vineyard and you see fucking Bruce on the bottom of the ocean. Holy shit. So this is where Brody meets with Tom, the kid who went down to the beach with the girl that's killed in the first scene. And you get the impression Brody is not buying Tom's story. But Tom says to him, hey, I didn't have to call you. I called you. I could have just disappeared into the fucking fray and nobody would have known. But this is all, a moot point, because next we see the deputy puking in a barrel after finding Chrissy's remains. Now, I have a couple of comments here. First, the shot of the hand. So like we said, the rule in Jaws is less is more. And this hand looks great because it's a real fucking hand just buried in the sand. It's such an easy trick, but it really worked great. We put a couple little crabs around it. You sprinkle a little fucking sand on it, and it's fucking terrifying.
The hand and the hair.
The hair.
All the matted hair.
It's really
creepy.
good. And next we see Brody isn't bothered by this, not like the deputy was. And I think we discussed this last time. This is because Brody is an ex-New York City cop, and he's presumably seen a lot more action than Deputy Dipshit. So this is painting a good picture right off the bat of, who Brody is. And they're doing it in a very clever way. Like I said, giving us the accent. Anybody can tell a New York accent. It's very simple. And I like the way they're telling this story. I hate to beat a dead horse, but it's really reminding me of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's great writing, it's great character building, and it's all happening very quickly. The pacing of this movie is actually very good, considering how little of the shark we actually are going to get, how much actual storytelling and character building they're doing. This can get drawn out and boring if not done properly. And finally, Brody gets the news from the coroner that Chrissy was the victim of a shark attack. Now, this is important to the plot point because it sets up the politics of this town, like Lynn was saying. Mayor Vaughn is going to force the coroner to change his report from a shark attack to a boat prop accident because he knows how much this town relies on the summer tourists and the beach being open. And this sets him up as an antagonist, right? Albeit, he has good intentions for the town's economy, but it's still going to set him up as our antagonist. Now, this is 4th of July weekend, and we're going to find Brody in a hardware store, right? He's gathering materials to make signs to close the beaches. Now, he hasn't talked to the mayor. He's just made this call on his own. And this is going to set Brody up as our protagonist, right? So the beginning of the movie, this is what we got. But this does not sit well with the mayor, who is not having it, and he forbids these beaches from being closed. And all of this sets up this really nice little subplot to this already incredible shark kill movie. It's really good. It really is. Tony.
The intro scene, we meet Brody, and Ellen, waking up. Why is the sun coming in our saying they've just moved there? You could tell, like you said, they give hints of such a background to everything without slamming you over the head with it. They bought we bought it in the fall. It's now the summer. The sun's changed. This is why. So you can see they've only been there a short amount of time. They're not islanders. They're from New York. He says later on, it's one man can make a difference in a small town like this. That's what he's trying to be. That's why he's here. Otherwise, he wouldn't be, because the man hates the water. We find out a few scenes later, he hates being on the water. He hates being on the water. It's only an island if you look at it from the water. Yep. So it's all of these small little things. The fact that he has to basically go out in a boat to face this monster, hating the water. That shows the guts of this guy. And that's something that always gets overlooked from Brody. It's like he's facing one of his biggest fears to go do this horrible thing. Now let's backtrack. When we meet the mayor, he's a piece of shit. We get that. We can tell right off the bat. He's got his anchor jacket on. He looks the part. He looks like a game show host. Talks like it. It's got it's you yell Barracuda, people say, "Huh, what?" You yell shark. Yeah, panic our hands on the 4th of July. He understands the gravity of it. And there's also the subplot again of the book, which I wish they went into, is the fact that he borrowed money from the New York mob. He has to
the
pay
mayor
that
did.
back from the summer dollars. He's moved some money. So he
Gotcha.
owes the mob a little bit of money. That's why he can't have the beaches closed. So whether it went towards the town, whether it went towards the pocket, either here nor there, that's his underlying motive that we don't understand. We just see him as, I'm trying to do best for the town.
Yeah.
It's not. He's actually slimier than that. He's trying to save his own ass.
Huge mistake not adding that into this storyline, in my
really
opinion.
is.
Even if you just mention it, you don't even have to get into it. Just mention it.
Show him in his office with like quick phone call. But again, there's other subplots that were dropped, which I completely agree with, which I'll touch on later. But having, you can say, and like you said, Deputy Dipshit, which is terrible because he's such a nice guy. Hendrix he just wants to do a good job. It's like, you let Polly do the printing on the signs. What's wrong with my printing? He's just such an innocent, nice little guy. He's just like, oh, what's wrong with mine? I want to do good. But you love everybody you meet. It's like they're, like you said, genuine small town, good-hearted people. You want to live there.
Yeah.
And Brody's leading the pack of just, I'm going to do right. I'm going to do good.
All right, over the next few days, ferry loads of tourists arrive on Amity's docks. The beaches are crowded each day, and Brody is extremely concerned about more potential attacks. As Brody and his wife Ellen sit in the sand, Brody scans the shoreline for any sign of trouble. A ways down the beach, young Alex Kintner asks his mother for permission to go swimming. Though Mrs. Kintner notices that her son's fingers are starting to prune from time he's spent in the water all day, she allows him 10 more minutes. Alex and his yellow raft enter the ocean one last time before being set upon by what is unmistakably an enormous shark. Amid the ensuing panic of the other beachgoers, Mrs. Kintner, who has not seen the attack, calls out desperately for her son as the bloodied and shredded remains of his raft wash up in the surf. So this is our first glance at the shark. Admittedly, it's very obscured, and it's a lot of fins and fanfare and, smoke and mirrors, but that's okay. It's 2 deaths in one scene. Even though Pippet the dog is off scene and debatable, we are left to believe that he was an appetizer before poor Alex.
Poor Pippet.
Yeah, and these people, like the panic, and I don't blame these people, the panic and running over people and knocking people down. It's like, that's how people drowned, this whole thing was a really dangerous situation.
Yeah, so I love these high anxiety scenes of Brody scanning the water while the tourists are splashing around. It builds the anticipation. We get some really great misdirections here that set up the Kintner boy kill perfectly, because at first as the viewer, right, I'm scared for everybody in the water. But as more time goes on and more people are swimming, I fall into that trap. You're not seeing any danger and you're like, maybe this isn't where it starts. And I've let my guard down, and then we're going to get the Kintner kill, right? Now, the Kintner kill, this is my favorite kill in the movie for a couple of reasons. First, the fact that he is so far from shore, right? It's a little kid on a fucking little yellow raft. It's terrifying. Next, the use of the shark in this scene is so effective. You see it underneath the raft. You see the dark shadow under the Kintner boy. You see the size of this fucking thing compared to the boy. It's fucking terrifying. You can only imagine what it might be like to have a shark that size underneath you. Then we get the extra bloody La Machine thrashing of the boy. It's phenomenal. And this is before ultimately the raft is going to wash up on shore in front of his mother. This is a very emotionally and visually disturbing scene. It was funny. So I was watching YouTube, and there's a guy who does he's got a little travel channel thing, and he goes out kayaking a lot. And he's out kayaking just off the shore, maybe, 100 yards offshore. And this fucking great white starts following his kayak. And I am literally talking like 10 feet behind him. And he can't paddle straight in because of the rocks. He has to go about a half a mile.
Almost like a mile, yeah.
Yeah, a mile to get to where he can paddle in to get to the beach. And this fucking shark is literally 5 feet off the back of his fucking kayak, and he keeps turning around. The huge dorsal fin, the huge tail fin, the huge wake of this thing behind him. I showed the Lynn. It was fucking,
I was shitting my pants.
fucking terrifying. So yeah, there you go. Just stay out of the ocean, people, okay? Stay out of the fucking ocean.
One of my favorite things that, again, just being the movie geek, is the editing. Like you said, we get all those misdirections on the beach. We get, total zoom on Brody's face. We get the
that zoom is so good.
Oh, so good.
We get the far shot, and then someone walks in front of him, and we're zoomed in a little bit. Someone else walks the other way. It's this genius cut that you don't even notice until you're like, wait, we're closer. We're closer. Every time someone walks in front of him, it switches how far we are away. And then once Kittner does get attacked, that zoom dolly shot that everyone has copied since, which has been, as far as I know, this has been the first zoom dolly shot in the history of cinema. I could be wrong on that, but this is the one that everyone goes back to. Beautifully done.
I'm so glad you brought that shot up, Tony. It was so important,
Good.
and you really get the feel that he is lost in thought and just can't even concentrate on what people are saying to him. He's not there. He's out in the ocean.
Nothing, because all we're hearing is the splashing and the screaming at that point. There's nothing else.
It's amazing.
When he first goes out, because the thing is, he is in the movie. Let's take the difference here. In the movie, he's not that far out, because there's other kids standing there playing football. But yet, when you go underneath him, everybody's kicking like they're swimming, but they're not. Which goes back to what Hooper says soon. Isn't it true most people get attacked in 3 feet of water? He had most 10 feet of water below him. In the movie, anyway. And yeah, you're right. There's deleted scenes of it, and I wish they fucking kept it in. There's the still of the shark coming up over him, mouth open, ready to tromp down. People have the bad behind the scenes stuff. It looks gorgeous. An AI guy did recently this amazing clip of that shot, and it's terrifying. So Google AI Kittner attack, you'll find it. It's beautiful.
Oh, cool.
In the book, Jesus Christ, this is the most terrifying thing in the entire book for me, because this is still early in the season, even though it's in early July or late June. The season hasn't started yet. It's actually an overcast day. There's like 3 people on the beach. So there's no one around. And he paddles out and gets taken out by the current. So he's floating. He looks up and realizes he's like 50, 60 yards from the shore. And that's when he looks down, and about 30 feet below him, he sees the shark pass below him, sees how big it is. To the point it's so big, he can feel the rise of the tide below him. It rises his raft. And he knows, I can't swim in. There's nothing I can do. He knows he's dead. As a 10-year-old kid, this is what he sees and feels. That terrified me as a kid, to the point I'm not going above my head in the water ever again. I mean, it's just the whole scene again, and you think about it, PG movie, 1970s, they killed a friggin' kid graphically on screen.
Yes.
You don't do that. Spielberg, his first big movie, I'm going to kill the kid.
I love it.
And we're going to get a PG rating. And I'm going to show a lot of blood. That's the balls Steven Spielberg had to do this. And the editing. And Universal to say, we'll stand by it. Because they knew they had something so special. They're going to let it slide. There was rated R movies in the mid-'80s that the MPAA clamped down and they didn't show this much blood. Because of just the hysteria. But Spielberg's name, amazing, just amazing.
Yeah, they slipped one by the goalie there. It's a strangely edited scene for the movie though, Tony, because I know what you're saying. In some scenes, it feels like he's in fucking 5 feet of water, but then you get the overhead shot, and it really feels like the shark is down below him. I mean, it's a big shark; they're not in 6 feet of water. You know what I mean? So it is. It's oddly edited together. This scene.
I mean, there's other scenes we'll get to with the Hooper holding up the arm. There's a whole editing screw up there, but we'll get to it.
Okay. Lynn.
All right. With dozens of witnesses to Alex Kittner's gruesome death, the presence of a shark in Amity waters is undeniable, and Brody is finally permitted to close the beaches. Alex's grieving mother offers a $3,000 reward to anyone who can catch the shark that killed her son, and a town meeting is held to discuss the official shark problem. Brody announces that the police department is expanding its efforts to keep the beaches safe, as well as bringing in a shark expert from the Oceanographic Institute to assist them. Most of the assembled townspeople are more concerned with finances than safety and remain angry about the beaches being closed, although Mayor Vaughn assures them it will will only be for 24 hours. The chatter is quelled by Sam Quint, a roughened local fisherman who guarantees the capture and slaughter of the offending shark for the price of $10,000. Though his offer is not accepted at that point, Quint seems confident that the job will fall to him eventually. With Mrs. Kittner's reward made public, scores of amateur shark hunters crowd Amity's docks coming from all over the Northeast. Two local men make a clumsy attempt to lure the shark with a pork roast, which results in one of them nearly becoming the shark's third victim. Arriving at the same time as the horde of overconfident fishermen is Matt Hooper, the shark expert from the Oceanographic Institute. After meeting with Brody, Hooper is allowed to view the remains of Chrissy Watkins, which are brought to him in an ominously small container. Hooper, visibly shaken after examining the mangled body parts, assures Brody that Chrissy did not die in a boating accident, but was attacked by a shark. First of all, the scene on the dock with all the Yahoo men heading out to get the shark, I adore the absolutely bewildered look on this harbor master's face. Like, he was just like, what the fuck is happening here?
Yeah.
And additionally, the acting done by Richard Dreyfuss in the scene with the remains, outstanding. Outstanding. Yeah. He's so shaken, but trying to stay as professional as he possibly can, and he did a really good job with it.
Dude, seeing all these idiots throwing like M80s in the water and shit, it was fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
So this is where we're going to meet Quint, and I love this scene, and it reminded me of another movie. It actually I saw a couple of scenes remind me of a couple of different movies here from the same genre, the same actual trilogy or more, if you will. So it reminds me of the scene in The Road Warrior where Mel Gibson says to the people in the refinery, if you want to get out of here, you talk to me, right? This is the scene. This sets up Quint as our anti-hero, same as Mad Max, right? And the portrayal of the character by Robert Shaw is fucking epic. And this scene where they bring out Chrissy in the tiny little shoebox thing reminds me of fucking Mad Max, where they bring the Knight Rider out in the fucking tiny little coffin. And they're like, not much left of him, eh? Fucking, and it's also by one of the guys from the Pepperidge Farm commercials. So I was feeling a little of that 70s Mad Max Road Warrior flavor here, which I loved because I love both of those movies. Next, we meet Hooper. And for me, this is where the movie really takes off. I mean, this for me is where I fall in love with this movie for a couple of reasons. First, we're going to get the humor of Richard Dreyfuss. For instance, when they're back at the Amity billboard that's now got the shark fin painted on it, and he says, hey, if you want to line up to be a hot lunch, be my guest. I'm fucking leaving. I'm laughing out loud. I'm loving his dry humor as Hooper. It's amazing. I don't think anybody else is Hooper, anybody else is fucking Quint, and this movie isn't as good. These two are magical, and we're going to get to why this is later. And secondly, he is the perfect foil to Quint. And more importantly, once they're on the Orca, these two will serve as our new antagonist and our new protagonist, filling up these spaces between the shots of the shark. And that's very important. Like, you need these two in this new fucking dynamic, because now we're away from the fucking mayor. We can't have him anymore. So we get this new little setup for the boat, and it really works great. And finally, we get this great scene in the coroner's office, like Lynn was saying, where Chrissy's remains are brought out in this like little shoebox. And Hooper confirms what we already know. This was a shark attack. And Tony, didn't you say last time that this doctor was actually the real doctor on Martha's Vineyard at the time?
Yeah, I think he is, yeah.
That is so cool. And that's what gives
they
this
pulled
movie...
as many locals in as they could.
Yeah, and it really gives this movie that real world feel. It doesn't feel like they're bringing in Hollywood actors to be
I think
Martha...
Mrs. Kittner and maybe Alex were both locals as well.
As well as the harbor master, as well as the guy who... Ben Gardner. The guy who's, their mothers are worse, they never met their fathers. That's the guy Sam Quint. That's the guy that Robert Shaw hung with the longest to learn the language, learn the dialect, learn how to be a fisherman. He was the inspiration for the real Quint.
Oh, that's so cool.
So he's the one he hung with the most and learned how to just be, was that guy.
Love it.
So important to the success of this because, anybody from Boston knows, or the Cape or Martha's Vineyard, you're not going to fake that accent. And when people try to do it like in Blown Away, that movie with Bridges, it's so bad. He's trying to be from Boston. It's just not working. But here, it's magical. Tony.
Wow. All right, a lot. I agree with everything you said, except for Road Warrior came out in 82.
Oh, okay.
So,
Well, but still, same flavor. Maybe it didn't come first, but I'm
definitely,
feeling that.
definitely same kind of thing. But as soon as you said, "No, you talk to me,"
Okay.
yeah, love that. Love that scene. Um, One of the best character introductions ever. Quint, just the nails on the chalkboard, grabs your attention, makes you want to kill him. Can't stand it, like angry at him, but he's so egotistical. Just the whole, his factual, just bad fish, and not like catch your bluegills or tommycocks, and the whole thing. Just
So good.
his introduction and the little dog, the little guy that comes with him and follows behind him, just larger than life. Takes up the whole screen, stops the room, everything. Forget it. Commands your attention. Brody and that scene being completely cucked by the fucking mayor. Well, just for 24 hours. I didn't authorize that. No one asked me. It's like he totally like cut his legs out from under him. He has no authority. He realizes it. He's screwed. He knows that there's nothing he can say or do that the mayor is going to allow.
Yep.
So he's already pushing that. Mrs. Kintner, again, we didn't touch this before. The oldest mother ever. I don't know how she's like 80 years old and has an 10 to 10-year-old kid. Kills me every time I see it. Like, that's better casting. Come on, let's work on that. What happens after that? There was you threw so much there.
Sorry.
Tony, back in 1975, that's what a 32-year-old woman looked like, though.
Yeah, seriously.
She's
probably smoking Pall
And
Malls.
she had a huge bush, no doubt. Keep going.
Oh my God.
And the hotel lord, like, I don't think that's funny at all. She makes me laugh every time I see her on the screen. Just the locals, the characters, everything about it is just so well done.
Yes.
The introduction of Hooper, that's where it was going.
Yes.
Yes.
That whole chaotic scene of just all the fishermen. There's so much more to that scene. It's funny. I didn't even know it until I got this random cut of Jaws with all the deleted scenes ever made put back into it.
Oh.
There's at least 3 to 10 minutes of that scene alone, and then people going out shooting arrows into the water. That's why when you finally see the shark, it's got an arrow sticking out of it. I'm like, who shoots an arrow? They show who shoots the arrow at it. It's great.
That's awesome.
But yeah, Hooper just coming up and trying the sarcasm, the eliteness of it, but yet still a hippie. Because in the 70s he was totally the was it the denim tuxedo?
Yeah.
Had the whole thing going on. He has beard. He has little Lennon glasses going on. Perfect.
The Canadian tuxedo.
Perfect foil to the fisherman. So
great. Who rocked the denim tuxedo like no one else? Mr. Furley from Three's Company.
Oh God, yeah. Oh, down at the Regal Beagle.
So good.
With his kerchief.
So good.
With the neckerchief. Yes.
Neckerchief. Style it. Don't even mess with Mr. Furley. Oh yeah, the shoebox scene.
Yes.
That scene bothers me every time I see it because you can tell when he picks up the arm, there's a line missing, and this is what you get. With what? What do I get? It's like with what? Where were you going with that? And I'm sorry. I know that he's an Oscar winner. I know that he was a great actor. I know that he's perfect in this. But this was not a boating accident. Like the over dramatic. It's like I watch it now and I'm just like,
I love it. I love it.
Stop.
I love it.
But again, Brody being sitting there like, well, it's local jurisdiction. And, totally schooled by this young guy who just walked in the door. Totally schooled him with the facts of everything. And I love that from that point on, Brody just starts reading books. He wants to catch up. Which again, great scenes you don't need to include them, but it shows he wants to be better. He's the heart of the film.
Yep.
He's us. I want to do better. I want to be better for the people here. He cares. He's not motivated by anything but doing good.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And Tony, the book scene, we're going to get to it later, but he does pause on a page that's going to, spoiler alert, show a shark with the oxygen tank in its mouth and a guy, up on a fucking mast getting ready to shoot the oxygen tank. So he gives you a quick Easter egg. He shows you how the movie's going to end if you're paying attention. It's very
the shark
cool.
breaking through the bottom of the boat. Totally.
It's very cool. It's very cool. All right, Dylan.
The town breathes a sigh of relief when the corpse of a large tiger shark is displayed on the docks, having been caught by some of the contending fishermen. Brody is initially elated until Hooper examines the creature's mouth and determines that its bite radius does not match the wounds on Chrissy Watkins' remains. Hooper, wanting to be certain, suggests that he examine the contents of the shark's stomach. Brody supports this plan, but Vaughn seems disturbed by the notion and disapproves. The crowd falls silent as black-clad Mrs. Kintner arrives. She approaches Brody and slaps him across the face, furiously accusing him of keeping the beaches open despite having prior knowledge that there was a man-eating shark in the water, a slap that very much belonged to Vaughn, not to Brody. Brody, angry and ashamed, becomes all the more determined to prevent further attacks. Later, Hooper comes to Brody's house, underlining his earlier suspicions that the captured tiger shark is not the animal responsible for the deaths. He believes that the culprit is great white and that it will likely remain in Amity's waters until the food source has been depleted. Hooper and Brody decide to examine the shark's stomach's contents themselves, regardless of Vaughn's opinions. The men visit the deserted dock at night and locate the dead tiger shark. Hooper slices its belly open only to find some fish, several tin cans, and a Louisiana license plate. Finding no human remains, Hooper and Brody confirm that this is not their shark. So, well, on my first watch, I thought the dinner scene was kind of like a waste of time. But like Tony just said, Brody is the emotional center of this movie. He's the heart of the movie. And when you think about this dinner scene with him and his son, it's such a nice touch, especially when you back to back it with Mrs. Kintner slapping him in the face, right? Mm-hmm. It's going to show like how that affected him. He was hurt deeply by his inability to keep everybody safe. He's, the scene of the son, with his son just reminds us of that.
Yeah, he's taking the weight of the Kintner boy's death on his own shoulders and, seeing the Kintner boy and his own boy. And I thought that was really nice. So if you're one of these people that doesn't listen to the whole podcast, make sure you fast forward to the fucking alternate ending because I've got a good one for you guys today. Oh boy. Okay. So we get the Miss Kintner slap here, and the actress does not hold back. She hits him like she fucking hates him. And it's really great. And Dylan, like you said, this slap was misdirected. And if I was Brody, I'd have arrested that fucking bitch for assault and battery on a police officer. Fuck you. Cuff her and stuff. I'd have had her down like a Cops episode.
You would not have.
Chicken wing, hand behind the back, boot on the face.
Knee on the throat.
Yeah.
Whatever. Fascist.
Yeah. Next, we get this great scene on the dock with the tiger shark strung up. And Hooper immediately knows this isn't the shark. And he actually says to Brody, I'm not going to get beat up over this, but, that's not the shark. Then we get this great line from Vaughn saying, we are not cutting that thing open and having the Kintner boy spell out all over this dock. And I think really what this mayor was afraid of was that the Kintner boy wasn't going to be in the shark and he was going to see license plates and cans fall out. He wants this thing to go away right now. And he doesn't give a fuck if that's the shark or not. It's good enough. It's close enough for everybody in town. Open the beaches up again. And finally, we do get confirmation that the tiger shark is not the killer when Hooper guts it. And fun fact, this was a real shark that they brought up from Florida. They had it on ice. And due to shooting delays on this, it stunk to high hell when they
You can tell.
Yeah, everybody's like, Urgh. So yeah, Tony, what do you got on this?
Yeah, you hit a lot of things on there. That it was terrible. Apparently it didn't freeze well, and that's why when you look at it, it's flies all over it. So that says everything right there. The three yahoos that did it perfect. I mean, everybody just loves to go, it's tiger shark. A what? Like that. Yeah. That's like my favorite line delivery of this entire movie. A what? Yeah. But again, when Hooper's talking to them and they're all in his face, the one thing I love watching is the guy who's behind him is blowing in his ear.
That's so
Go
weird.
back and watch. He's just, and he's like literally blowing in his ear the whole time. So finally he's like, what are you doing? Like, come on, who does
I'm intimidating you.
Yeah, it's completely was. So, I mean, again, him surrounded with the mob mentality, he's going to shrink back. The mayor's assistant, I want to go national with this, get Associated Press, tell the Times they owe me a favor. He wants to spread the word. We got the shark. Everybody come to town. We're all good now. Nothing to worry about. So you're right. They definitely wanted just to make it go away. They didn't care if it was or wasn't. This is what we're doing. That's it. Miss Kintner slapping. Several takes, beat the hell out of Scheider. And going forward in history, she's still on the island to this day. She still lives there. Well, until recently she passed. But anytime any fan met her, that was what they asked her to keep doing. Look, can you slap me? Can you slap me? To the point where she basically had to stop doing it because she was uncomfortable of like hitting people. But that was the funny, weird little fan thing that people would do. Is like, can you slap me?
So ironically, the actress was actually killed while swimming offshore in Martha's Vineyard by a shark. That's how she
No,
passed.
sir.
That's how she died.
No, sir.
That's how she died.
No,
Yeah.
No.
Google it.
No.
That's how she died.
I don't believe so.
That's fucking bullshit.
But okay.
He's making shit up.
But cool though.
Chrissy recently passed away too.
Also attacked
Chrissy.
by a shark.
No, she was not. She recently passed away. I think it was last year, maybe.
On the side note, Alex Kintner still lives on the island. He was working as a chef in a diner that she went into, and he saw that she was there and came out, and they had a reunion.
Oh,
Totally got out of nowhere. Like, she had no idea he worked there. He had no idea she was coming in. Weird little thing. So we just side note.
I thought you were dead. No, Mom,
Yeah.
you just nicked me.
The cutting open scene, so well done. I'm sorry. Let's go back to the dinner scene. You're right. The scene with the son shows how much heart he has. You know, he's sitting. He's drunk. He went home and got drunk because he can't take the weight of this mayor. He knows the mayor's wrong. He knows that there's still a problem. He's believing what Hooper said, but he knows there's nothing he can do about it. He's up against the wall. Watching him with his son, you know, give us a kiss. Why? Because I could use it. I need it.
It's nice.
Beautiful. And then Hooper comes in, mixes the humor with it, you know, starts eating their dinner. Ellen lets him in, which is a whole subplot that we never even got, but we can get to that later. Convinces Brody to go and cut the shark open. Great scene. It's like, I'm the chief of police. I could do anything. Because he knows he can't. But it's the one thing, you know what? I can do this. So fuck it. Let's go do it. And maybe we'll prove it at that point. So it was great.
Right.
Tony, you nailed it though with Hooper. You know, and this is why I need this actor and I need this character in the movie, because we get these little moments of comic relief when you really need it without it being comedy. It's not comedy. It's just, they're just like, Dreyfus, eat his dinner. And it's funny.
His personality. Yeah.
It's funny without being funny. And it lifts the mood after this really heavy scene of, our hero breaking down and crying and showing his weakness and his heart for his child. And you're just like, it's a downer. You're in this moment like, oh, and then all of a sudden here comes Hooper to just lift the mood back up and get the movie back on track. And it's really, really nice. It's spectacular storytelling. So I to keep beating that horse.
One of the things that was funny, we touched on it a little earlier, is the fact that there's the play of The Shark is Broken, of the three, it's Quint, Brody, and Hooper on the boat between takes. It's basically 90 minutes of them, what happens in the conversations between takes. And one of the things that they say, which I thought was really funny, because the big problem is, like, you got Robert Shaw, who's this, like, major actor. He had a reputation. He's done everything. He's done Shakespeare, the whole thing. Scheider had his American roles, and then Hooper, Richard Dreyfuss was up and coming. And they literally butted heads with Roy Scheider in the middle. He was the peacekeeper. But there was a really great line that Dreyfuss said to him. He's like, why do you think we even all got cast in this movie? I'm sorry, Scheider says, he's like, I don't even know how I get cast in this movie. This is just a silly movie. None of them had any faith in the film. And Dreyfuss is like, well, your last role was a French Connection. You obviously play cops. You have a trusting face. And I thought that was such a great line, because you know what? It's true. You look at Brody, he's got like the broken nose. You can tell he's been through some shit, but he's got a trusting face.
Yeah. He's
got a great look. His expressions, his movements, his gestures, you trust him.
Yeah.
And he shows it in every scene of this movie.
I actually saw a video just today, and it was Spielberg, and it was old. So, he still had black hair and everything. And he was saying how he cast Roy Scheider was he didn't know who was going to play Brody. Like, he literally had been going through names, couldn't figure somebody out, was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And he was at a party, and Roy Scheider was there, and they were talking about this movie. And he just looked at me and goes, well, what are you doing this summer? And
That's great.
was it. That's how we
great.
get the role.
I love that.
That's awesome.
Hooper convinces Brody to continue their investigation out on the water, though Brody is terrified of the ocean. I don't know if you noticed this, but he takes the other bottle of wine with him, which I thought was pretty funny. Using the sonar equipment, Hooper locates a large object a good distance away from the shoreline. Brody recognizes it as the boat of Ben Gardner, a local fisherman. Hooper decides to investigate the half-submerged craft despite Brody's protests and dons his scuba gear before entering the water. Hooper discovers a large hole in the hull of the boat and finds an enormous tooth embedded in the side. While examining the tooth, he is suddenly horrified to see the corpse of Ben Gardner floating out of the hull with one of his eyes missing. Hooper drops the tooth and his flashlight and rushes to the surface. Brody and Hooper make yet again another attempt to reason with the mayor. Vaughn still stubbornly dismisses the arguments, insisting there's no proof that the shark is responsible. Though he allows Brody and Hooper to take precautions to keep the beaches safe, he refuses to close them. Independence Day weekend finally arrives, bringing plenty of tourists, but the beachgoers are made uneasy by the numerous police boats patrolling the water for the shark. Remaining on the beach, Brody is aiding with the shark patrol. When his elder son Michael wishes to take his new sailboat out onto the water with his friends, Brody tells him he can take it out in the adjacent estuary just to be safe. Two youngsters with a cardboard fin prank the beach, but overall the beachgoers begin to relax. A young woman yells that there's a shark now in the pond, but it's dismissed as another prank. But Brody knows Michael is there, so he goes to investigate. The sailboat and another man's boat are both capsized by the shark. Michael watches in horror as the other man is eaten by the shark. He and his friends are rescued and taken to the hospital in shock. So let me back up to the scene with Hooper in the water with the boat. This is really clever to me because they've got the shark music happening, the dun-dun happening, and you're expecting the shark. You're not expecting this man's head with his eye popping out. And they let you get a really good look at him, which, a lot of times they give you a flash and then that's it. You just get the reaction. And they gave you a nice little look at this guy, enough that you're like, gross, but I appreciated it.
Yeah, so I love this investigation boat trip for a couple of reasons. First, we see here Hooper's modern boat with the underwater lighting and the sophisticated equipment, which is a perfect foil to Quint's old blue-collar fishing boat, which is the exact foil that we see between Quint and Hooper's people. This is so clever. This just shows how different these two are, but how similar they are at the same time. And secondly, this scene is as close to a traditional horror movie as we're going to get in this movie. He's out, sneaking around the woods basically, and he's going to stumble upon a victim. And we're going to get a huge jump scare, and we're not going to actually get the killer. It's fucking horror movie 101. And I love that they were able to give us some of this in this movie. So, is it a horror movie? No, it's not, but it's horrifying, and they did get some horror in there. And finally, we get Independence Day weekend at the beach. And what I love about this scene is everybody is scared to go into the water at first with good reason, right? But humans have this weird way of justifying doing dangerous or sketchy shit if everybody else is doing it, right? Like if everybody else starts doing stupid shit, you'll be like, oh, it can't be that dangerous. Everybody's doing it. No, everyone's just dumb and it's still fucking dangerous. And that's on full display here. And as the viewer, I fall into the same trap as I'm watching it. As more and more people go into the water, people start having fun. Time is going by. I let my guard down just like everybody else in the water. And again, this is just great storytelling. And finally, the kill in the pond. This is a great scene. First, we get this disturbing warning from the girl on shore. Shark, shark. It's really great. And then we get a look at the length of the shark from the tail to the dorsal fin. It's fucking awesome. It looks huge. It's cruising through the water at high speed. This is just great. And finally, this intimate killing of the man in the rowboat. It's so up close and personal. Tony, this is like when you talk about, like the killing with a butcher knife, the intimate stabbing scene. That's what this is here. And we get some great misdirection leading up to this intimate kill.
That camera, when it comes by Michael, that's supposed to be the shark basically going right by him.
It's so good. And it adds another dynamic to these kills. And it keeps this movie in the horror genre for me. Tony.
Hooper's boat. Fucking, I will stand by that. I will die on this hill. One, he shows up in a dinghy. All right, I'll give him that. When we first see Hooper, he shows up like climbing up on the thing. Did he sail in on this monster yacht? Because it's his.
Yeah.
How did he get here? If he docked on that, did he leave it out and just take a dinghy and whatever? All right, fine, I'll allow that. But it's like, why did we not use that to find the shark?
Right.
Why did we bother with Quint? If Hooper could have tracked this thing with sonar and radar, get that, then have somebody come find it and do it. It's something I will die on. It bothers me every time I see it. I wish the scene, they took a regular boat out. I wish we didn't care that he was rich. I wish we didn't care that he had all these toys. Just be a smart city boy counting your money. We don't need the scene. Take out any other boat, because why would we go out on the tin can orca if we have, the yacht?
I always said the same. Why not hunt the fish in this boat?
Yeah, you have all the technology to do it and to do it safely and do it right. We don't need the instinct of the old seafarer. We have technology.
But what's
Let's move into
fun?
this new century.
But what's fun is you got to put yourself back in 1975 and how cool this boat probably looked at the time. It's pretty neat.
And it still does. Even it holds up.
It does.
There's no denying when the lights flick on into the water. That's
cool.
Great. That's like oh shit. What are we going to see when we flick the lights on?
It's eye candy.
So aside from that, he goes down, no tank, holds his breath, knowing there's a fucking. He should know. They're literally talking. It's a rogue. It travels at night. It feeds where people are. Why would you put yourself in its feeding ground? It wasn't smart. It went against the instinct of the character. And this, like I said, this entire scene bothers me. But what we get out of it is the single best jump scare in the cinema history. Jason jumping out of the lake, The Exorcist 3 at the hallway nurse scene, and this scene right here.
Yep.
Those are your jump scares forever. It's all I need. I'll give Carrie's hand coming out of the ground.
Yeah.
But when Ben Gardner said, I saw a few weeks ago, because the anniversary, I'm doing all the anniversary geek things. I went and saw the symphony. The Boston Pops did the live score and they showed the movie. When this scene happened, half the audience literally jumped to the point the balcony kind of rumbled a little bit.
Oh, that's awesome.
Where the hell are these people? Have you never seen this movie?
It made me jump, and I've seen it 1,000 times.
I know, but it was like people screamed. It's like, I love that people still are scared by this movie.
Yeah.
It made me so happy to have that happen. So again, great scare. Love it. The scene with the mayor, like Jesus Christ, I'm catching up here. The scene with the mayor, one of my favorite scenes in the movie, just because Dreyfuss is fucking gold in this scene. Just trying to convince him, throwing his snark out there, and Larry Vaughn just trying to bat it down, trying to match the wits and trying to match the snark. Oh, get your name in the National Geographic. It's like, well, you're such a dick. And it makes you hate him, and I love it.
Yeah.
Because everybody plays their roles so perfectly. I mean, the exasperation that Roy Scheider is getting out there, he can't speak fast. Like, we're not going to have to just close the beaches. We have to get Quint. It's like he's pleading, knowing he only has 2 or 3 minutes to sell this guy on it, and it's not going to work.
Right. Tony, quickly, I want to just touch back on what you were saying about the scene when they go out to investigate the boat. So You're right. There's some bad choices being made here, but like I said, this is the only scene in the movie that really feels like a traditional horror movie to me. And what do they do in horror movies? They make bad decisions, right? They make bad decisions. They put themselves in bad positions for the sake of us, the viewers, right? They're going to give us some eye candy and they're going to make some bad decisions.
But Spielberg wasn't out to make a horror movie. So that, I see it. I hear what you're saying. It did influence. I consider Jaws a horror movie.
Yes.
I don't consider it a drama. It's a horror movie.
It is.
But this is before the tropes became the tropes.
Right.
So making bad choices went against what Spielberg does. Think of every other Spielberg movie, even his cheap, shitty ones. He's amazing at having your characters be realistic because they make normal choices. This is a normal choice for someone who's college educated, studies sharks, knows what he's talking about to get in the fucking water. It's dumb. It's the worst decision you could do.
It doesn't make sense, but without this scene, the movie might have. It needed stuff like this to keep it going. It needed these scenes.
But don't make it rich. Don't take the boat. Take a different boat.
I get you.
That's all.
Yeah, and honestly, you could have done that scene during the day if you wanted to do, because it's like, oh, there's no lights. If we don't do it during the day, we're not going to go out there in the middle of the night because that's when he's
But
feeding.
that's not scary. It's scary.
If you're underneath the water.
Terrifying.
It would be scary. It would be scary.
They go out there, there's people sailing and yachting out around. It's like, it kind of breaks the spell of like this nighttime horror scene.
You go down underneath that water onto that boat and you tell me you're not shitting your pants.
Do me a favor. Outright me in the fucking alternate endings so we can talk about your fucking ideas of script writing. Tony, keep going.
We'll get there.
The estuary scene.
Right. I got to take a jump back because I forgot to talk about the two guys with the fucking roast.
Oh yeah.
What bothers me about the scene, I know we totally went by it. If you want to throw it back in there, throw it back in there.
That's okay.
What bothers me about this scene is that they take this chain, they throw the roast in. There's about 100 feet of chain, right? Thing goes out, pulls the dock off when it's finally taken. So now, the way it's shot, the guy's trying to swim back, the dock is chasing him. That's what we're afraid of the dock, because we know the shark is attached to it. But the shark is 100 feet ahead of that fucking dock.
Right.
The shark would have eaten him twice over by the time the dock actually catches up to him.
Yes.
But we're afraid of the dock.
Yes.
It
Yeah.
always bothers me. So
Yeah.
that's, again, I'm picking out the nitpicks things, but that's one scene I'm just like, we're not scared of the dock, we're scared of the chain. All right, estuary scene. Beautiful. This is the scene that terrifies me to this day, because we see the scale of the shark. Like you said, the fin to the dorsal and the dorsal of the tail is one thing. When we see the guy knocked over in the boat and we see the head of the shark come up behind him underwater, blurred, fucking nightmare fuel.
Yes.
To this
Yes.
day, still, if I'm like on a boat somewhere, I'm looking down and I can picture it in my head. There's a shark like 20 feet away from me, terrified. And when it finally comes up to bite him, even scarier, because now I see everything I thought it was is real. There it is right there. Forget when it pops out when some of this shit. This is the scene we see the shark for the first time, and it's horrifying. The camera work when, at that point it bites his leg, takes him down, takes him under. Again, deleted scenes, which I wish they left in because there's so many promo shots of that guy. You see the fin behind him. Basically, the shark takes him in his mouth and swims with him in his mouth. He's spitting out blood. He goes, at that point, when the camera goes up to Michael, he actually grabs Michael
Oh.
and drags him with him. The kid's screaming. He's spitting out blood onto Michael. And finally, he pushes Michael to the side, and the shark takes him down. There's a legit deleted scene on that.
Ah,
So the guy saves Michael.
The guy saves Michael
I want that
because
scene.
he's still in his mouth. Dude, just Google deleted estuary scene. You'll see it. Because we've all seen this promo shots of the guys with the blood coming out of his mouth and the fin behind him. But that's why Michael is so traumatized. It's not just seeing the guy die. Is the fact he was dragged by the guy with the shark right there.
Right.
Ugh.
Which makes it even more friggin' terrifying.
Yep.
Like, my God. So that's what I wanted to make sure I touched on.
So Michael was ipso facto dragged by the shark himself, even though the connector was fucking, hey, you kids okay over there?
Over there.
Holy shit. That guy works at the 7-Eleven at the gas station down the street from my house.
Not anymore, he don't.
Holy shit. All right, Delin.
All right. Vaughn finally relents and allows the beaches to be closed. Quint is immediately hired. A vastly experienced shark hunter, he desires to take the mission on alone, but Brody insists that he and Hooper will go as well. There's an instant tension between Quint and Hooper, with Quint seeing Hooper as a rich snob with no real shark hunting experience, and Hooper seeing Quint as a reckless thrill seeker with a bullish attitude. Though Hooper proves himself to be a capable sailor, the discomfort remains as the three men embark on their voyage in Quint's boat, the Orca. Once out to sea, the men ladle chum into the water to attract the shark. After hours of waiting, the shark makes his appearance, taking the bait and showing the men just how strong it is before disappearing. As the voyage presses on with no further sign of the shark, Brody grumpily ladles more chum off the back of the boat, when without warning the massive head of the great white emerges briefly in the wake. Brody is stunned and alerts the others. After barking orders to Brody and Hooper, Quint begins to fire harpoons tied to plastic barrels intended to both slow the shark down and make its presence more visible. Hooper manages to attach a tracking device to a barrel before the shark retreats again. I'm jumping ahead a little bit here, but I really appreciate how not only is Hooper proven wrong during this expedition, he's saying, that's just a marlin, it's a tuna, whatever. It's not. It's the shark. But then later, the next day, Quint is proven wrong. He says there's no way he can stay down with 3 barrels on him, and yet the shark does. The point of this being, this is fantastic storytelling because this is pointing out that this shark is unlike anything these very seasoned men have ever seen without saying it in words. It's showing, not telling, and I love that both of them are proven wrong. It's not like Hooper's always right or, Quint's always right. They're both wrong. This is something they've never dealt with.
Yeah, they're two sides of the same coin, basically. They're just polar opposites of each other, but they both love sharks and fish and the ocean. So we get this tension between Quint and Hooper. And like we were saying, apparently this wasn't just an on-screen dynamic. These actors really didn't like each other, and it was a problem during the shooting. But for me, the viewer, it made for amazing on-screen chemistry. Just like these people in town. You can't fake being a townsman from, Martha's Vineyard. And really, you can't fake this kind of tension between two actors. I mean, it's very good. It's very good. And finally, we get the most recognizable and iconic scene in the whole movie where Brody sees Jaws face to face for the first time. And this quick shot of the robot shark head is, in my opinion, the best use of the shark in the movie, the robot shark. And of course, we get the best line in the movie that goes along with it. You know, we're going to need a bigger boat. It's what everybody remembers. So this one is definitely my favorite scene in the movie. Now, I said this in our last review, and I think this movie would have, I think that this movie would have benefited for some stock footage of great white sharks peppered
There
in.
is stock footage.
Not enough. Not enough. I would want a couple of like really good, clear stock footage of great white sharks. Like you just give it to me. You know what I mean? Like it's just going to sell it better. A mix of the robot shark with some stock footage, I think would have made for a better balance, and we could have got more Jaws in this movie. I know Tony's going to disagree with this. Go ahead.
I do, 100%. I feel that the shark look, because it was so large and because it was what it was, it works. I think if we saw a real shark, it wouldn't be scary enough. Granted, we run into one on the beach, I'm shitting my pants, and then I'm never going to the water again. But I feel that, I mean, I watch Shark Weeks. I still watch Shark Week every week because I'm a whore for these things. And they're not really that terrifying as the fake shark was. The fake shark was made to look scary, and it was because of the black eyes. It's like, yeah, sharks have black eyes, but that's not constant. It's just like, again, nature's terrifying because it is what it is, and it's real life, but it's Hollywood. It needed to be bigger, it needed to be scarier, it needed to look more intimidating. They made it that way, and to me it worked. Like I said, I like the fact that they didn't show it as much. I love the fact that Spielberg created, lemon out of lemonade out of lemons, and it's just it worked. There maybe is one or two scenes where I'm like, that really doesn't look good, but the other ones are so over the top fantastic to me. I'm okay with it. And to me, the cage scenes are where I think it looks the worst.
Yeah, the robot shark had no flow like a real fish, and it didn't show the power and the speed of the shark, like when they tried to lop it up on top of the boat. Like, I just think it would have been nice to have seen a couple of shots of like maybe a great white breaching the water. You know, you just add it in near the orca, and you can see the power and the speed of the fish,
Well, they didn't. I hate to say they didn't know they did that until like the late '90s when they finally started doing Shark Week on a regular basis. They went down to Africa, in Australia, and they saw them doing it. Like, they were blown away by that. That's
Wow.
the whole air Jaws thing was like a new concept. So I mean, the shark doing it at the end of this movie, it made it personal. It was
Gotcha.
It was not normal behavior.
Yeah.
It was the Ahab moment. It was seeking it out. To go back to it, yeah, Shaw and Dreyfus hated each other, and they didn't respect each other. Dreyfus was looking for a quick payday for this movie, and Shaw was an alcoholic. When it comes down to it, and they just couldn't. They did their best to get along, but they just couldn't. So yeah, having that element written into the script. You've been counting money all your life. It's like you got city hands, Mr. Hooper. It's like you could see the distaste in the words spit at him.
Yeah.
Through the lines, and it was so. Shaw's a great actor to begin with, but making it more personal, you felt it. The two of them were so good.
Yeah. It reminds me of Jeff Goldblum in fucking Jurassic Park. Are there going to be any dinosaurs on your dinosaur tour? That's just what I go back to. Like a couple more shark scenes. Dylan, Rocket.
Okay, this is the end. We're wrapping it up to the end.
Final act.
That night, the men have dinner and drinks below deck, and Hooper surprisingly begins to bond with Quint as they compare scars. Quint recounts his experience on the day the Indianapolis was sunk, and he watched his friends and crewmates being eaten by sharks. After the sad story, the men sing a rowdy she shanty.
Whoa.
She shanty. The men sing a rowdy sea shanty to lighten the mood, but are interrupted by the returning shark violently crashing into the boat and causing a leak. Quint rushes on deck and fires a rifle, but the shark escapes once again. The next day, the men attempt to repair the boat, but seawater has damaged the engine. The shark returns, and Quint attempts to drag it by powering the boat to full throttle. The shark is too strong, though, and Quint is forced to cut the lines. When Brody attempts to call for help, Quint destroys the radio, obsessed with killing the shark himself. The shark begins to chase the boat, and Quint steers back towards land at full speed, dismissing Hooper's protest that he's overtaxing the already damaged engine. When the engine fails, the boat is left to slowly sink. Hooper resorts to putting on his scuba gear and having Quint and Brody lower him to the water inside his shark-proof cage, his aim being to inject the shark with poison. The cage proves to be no match for the shark, who attacks with such ferocity that Hooper drops the harpoon and is forced to hide in a reef. Brody and Quint assume Hooper is dead. They barely have time to react before the shark leaps from the water like a breaching whale and lands most of its body on the sinking stern of the boat. Quint and Brody desperately cling to the cabin as the boat is upended, with the shark's gaping mouth at the bottom. Quint ultimately loses his grip, and despite Brody's effort, he slides into the shark's mouth and is gruesomely killed. Horrified, Brody hastily enters the cabin of the rapidly sinking boat, and he finds one of Hooper's pressurized air tanks. The shark smashes through the side of the boat, and Brody attempts to fend it off by bludgeoning it with the tank. The shark retreats, with the tank now lodged in its mouth. With little more than the boat's mass remaining above water, Brody climbs to its summit with rifle in hand. At last, Brody hits his mark. The tank explodes, taking the shark's head with it, and Brody laughs triumphantly as blood and shark flesh rain down into the ocean around him. Moments later, after the shark's destruction, Hooper surfaces, and the exhausted Brody is relieved to see him alive. The men assemble a makeshift raft and paddle back to Amity's shore. So this is really, to me, this is really smart filmmaking here. The shark looks like shit. Intersperse it with shots of real sharks. Can I tell what's real and what's Bruce? Sure. Do I care? No. The shot of the machete with the sun reflecting off the ocean behind it, fucking gorgeous.
Beautiful.
So many well thought out shots that just elevate this from a shark movie, like quote unquote shark movie or creature movie or horror movie, to a landmark film. They took it somewhere that it didn't have to go, but they did it, and it worked.
Yeah, the shooting stars. I mean, it's beautiful. So this scene of the boys drinking, this is my second favorite scene in the movie, right behind, Brody coming face to face with Jaws. And it's my favorite scene for two reasons. First, it's nice to see Quint and Hooper bonding over their shared experiences with sharks, right? This scene really humanizes the character of Quint for me, the viewer, and also for Hooper. You can see that, he's starting to have some empathy for fucking Quint. And they're both starting to find some shared respect for each other. And I really liked it because I wanted them to be friends, by the end of this movie. And second, and also it's going to be very important when Quint dies. Hooper feels this now, where before this scene, I don't think he would have really cared. And secondly, Robert Shaw was really shit-faced during the shooting of this scene. And again, that's why we get this really organic, real-world feel here. You're not going to get that in Hollywood anymore. This is never going to happen. They're never going to let an actor get drunk to shoot a scene. So I loved it. I don't care how many takes it took to get it. It was worth it. Next, like Delin was saying, this shark is almost supernatural. It's pulling down barrels. It's dragging the boat around. And it's basically hunting the orca. And as Quint and his boat start falling apart, the danger grows as the crew gets closer and closer to the water. It's perfectly executed slow burn for this fucking brilliant final act. I mean, you can see where this is going. This boat is not going to make it back to shore. They are going to be in the water before long. And that is a terrifying fucking thought. Now we get Hooper going down in the shark cage. And we assume he's dead. And this is a nice setup, like we all love Hooper. He's a great guy and we don't want him to die. And we assume he's gone. I did want to see a little bit more live shark footage attacking a cage here, but whatever. Like Dylan said, I don't care. It's fine. None of this is going to hurt my score, right? It's not about what this shark looks like. It's about the way Steven Spielberg delivered this story to me. Next, we get Quint getting gutted by Jaws. This is a great shot. Obviously, the shark doesn't look perfect for this, but it's shot straight on. We're not going to see really any of the, hinges and bolts and stuff. It was more than effective for the time. It was great. And honestly, they use enough blood and it's a shocking enough image to where you're not staring at the shark. You're staring at Quint. And it really works. But I do draw the line with this side shot of the shark flopping up onto the boat. It looks fucking horrible. It looks fake, and I wish they had just cut it from the film. They showed restraint for almost 2 hours, and then he just couldn't help himself. He couldn't help himself. It hurts the movie. It's a bad scene. And if the movie doesn't get a perfect score from me, this would be the scene that would nick it. It would nick it for me. And finally, we get Brody killing Jaws with a rifle and in the oxygen tank. And again, like I said later, if you were paying attention earlier in the movie when Brody was flipping through that book, we're going to get the Easter egg. It's pictured in the book, and it's a really nice touch and a really nice fucking payoff. I think it's something you could appreciate more upon like a second or third or fourth viewing of the movie. You're not going to get this the first time you see it. And we get our final payoff when Hooper reappears and they paddle back to town. I love this ending. Hooper's going to come up. As the viewer, I love this character. I'm so glad he lived. And I also like to see the look on his face when Brody tells him, fucking Quint didn't make it. And, we've spent an hour and a half hating Quint, and we don't anymore. And it's because of the drunk scene. It's great storytelling. Bravo, sir. Bravo. Tony, final act. Talk about it.
Yeah, the cabin scene of the Indianapolis. My God, still one of the best monologues ever written. And again, doctored, script written by Shaw himself, because he couldn't stand, one, he couldn't deliver the one that was written, and two, he didn't. His big thing is all he wanted to do was write. That's Robert Shaw's thing. He loved writing. He's like, let me take a crack at it. Let me take a crack at it, and he did. And he came back with that. And because he wrote it, he knew he could deliver it.
Right.
Watching, leading up to that, let me see it. We'll drink to your leg. Let me see your scars. The fact that they cut to Brody looking at his appendix scar in the middle of it shows you, I want to be one of the guys, but he can't be. He's so not one of the guys in this.
So good.
And it's so cute. Like, oh, look at you. Like, they didn't need that shot, but it made him human again. He's the heart of this movie. Like, small things like that. To take a rewind again, because I can't keep my shit straight. We didn't even touch on it because the reason everything is so dire now is because Quint destroyed the radio. They can't call in to get help. They can't call in to get someone to come tow the boat when it goes down, because Quint is too arrogant. He's too strong-headed. I'm going to do this. No one's going to help me do this. So he breaks up the radio. Now they're stuck in the ocean.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll go back to the Indianapolis speech. Haunting. The way he delivers it, the pacing of it, the writing of it, the imagery that he gives in his monologue is just fucking gold standard for any script writing class. Totally side note, I was helping a friend of mine do casting for a movie, for an independent film. And we had one day where people just were showing up without monologues. We're like, you know what? We're sick of that. If anyone shows up tomorrow without a monologue, we're giving them an Indianapolis speech, and they have to perform it.
Oh, it's great.
I don't know if you remember WAAF.
Of course.
Had Spaz.
Yep.
Spaz and LB showed up for the audition.
No way.
Picture LB doing the Indianapolis speech.
Oh,
yeah.
no.
Yeah, kid. Yeah. 1,500 men went in the water, kid. It's like, it was
my
terrible.
God.
It's on video somewhere. I'd love to find it. But again, it's so iconic. That speech is like, it's up there with the, always be closing speech from Glengarry.
Yeah.
It's like everybody knows that.
Yep.
All right, moving on.
Wait, Tony, about that speech, it really reminded me of another movie. It reminded me of Blade Runner, where Roy delivers the final speech on top of the roof. And coincidentally, he wrote that the night before it was shot, Rutger Hauer. Right. So it really kind of reminded me of this situation. A great speech written by the actor for the actor with a lot of weight. Really good.
I think, and that's why I love when you get directors that are open to ad libs, because what we've learned in the recent decade is that movies are made so much better by the actors who were in character, just coming up with things. Yep. Half the deleted scenes from all of the Apatow movies are funnier than the actual movies themselves. 40-Year-Old Virgin, the Knocked Up, hysterical because the ad libs are so good, and because the actors know their characters, so they can just come up with things. The Hooper cage scene, it's the weakest part of the movie for me. Sets the suspense going into it. Great. Intercutting the live shark, you know it's not the right shark. It took me out of the scene. It bothered me. Knowing that the shark got stuck, you're seeing the shark struggle in the top of the cage. They're trying to bring it up. You should have been able to see the entire shark at that point, and they weren't. So it takes between the editing, the shots that they chose, it's the weakest part of the entire finale for me.
Mm-hmm.
Just me. I do agree with you. The shark breaching the water does look terrible when it lands on the boat. If they cut off maybe like 10 or 12 frames of it, it might have worked better. But when you see it hit and then bend, it's just like, ugh.
It's like cardboard box. It's terrible.
Yeah. But I mean, Quint, his Ahabness of, I'm going to go down with this shark. The same way with Moby Dick. Ahab had to I'm going to keep stabbing it. I'm going to keep stabbing it. And to go back to your machete in the sunlight, that scene bothers the shit out of me every time I see it, because we're on an ocean, there's waves, but you see this machete hit the side of the orca in still water around.
True.
I'm like,
True.
oh, just throw a wave in there.
Yeah. Throw a wave in there.
Here's my movie guy bitch for the second. I mean, Brody on top of the mast. Iconic. Silhouette of it. Beautiful. I mean, there's way too many shots in this movie that are just, if I had a poster of, I'd be fine with. And I do have posters of that. That's the funny thing. I have all these art prints in there, all of these scenes. Quint leaning back, looking at Hooper, is the sun setting in behind him, rifle across from him, just with this smart ass look on his face, like, oh, you think you know what you're doing? You don't know shit. So again, no other actor could have pulled it off the way that he did. I know that they had Lee Marvin on it. They had Charlton Heston was supposed to be in this movie. No one could have been cast better than these three. So when we go, oh, who's your alternate cast? Nobody. Any different ending? Nothing. This movie is perfect,
dude. Wait, you hear my ending?
I'm excited to hear what you got.
Yep. My ending and my recast are both spectacular.
When the shark blows up, you literally just exploded dozens of gallons of blood in the ocean. You just attracted every shark within 100 miles, and now you're swimming through it. You're dead. They're not making it short. They're not making it.
It's not
as simple as that. The one thing I do love, they swim in on the yellow barrels.
Yeah.
You string the barrels together, and in the opening scene of Jaws 2 out in front of Brody's house, they've made a planter out of one of the yellow barrels.
So good.
It's just a small thing, but it's like, oh, I turn into like DiCaprio meme. I'm like, oh, look at that over there. That's the barrel from the first one. Done.
Dude, as the boat is going down and Quint is on the mast and the mast is pretty much the only thing left out of the water, you're getting that like when you're a little kid. Don't touch the floor. The floor is fucking lava. Like,
floor's lava.
Like at that point as a viewer, we're afraid of the ocean. Like just Quint does not even want to put a toe. Brody does not want to put a toe into the ocean. It's really cool. It's really cool. All right, so there you go. We've broken down Jaws for a second time for you. I hope that you enjoyed the discussion. I know you could probably hear it this time, so it's definitely an upgrade from the first one. There you go. So
it does. Do you have an alternate ending you'd like to share?
Oh, I so do. I so do. But first, we're going to go over to the recasting couch. So I would replace the mayor with one Brian Dennehy, who you might recognize as the sheriff from Rambo. I think he would have been great. I would have loved to hate him. He plays that authoritarian figure very well. Dylan, what do you got for a recast?
Okay, so I'm putting asterisks all over this because really, you can't recast this movie.
Well,
it's fucking just so. Shut the fuck up. It's so perfectly cast. It's so well done. It's so well acted. But this is just for fun. I recast all three of the big three. I recast Brody with Sam Neill. I recast Hooper with Dustin Hoffman, and I recast Quint with Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, I mean, it's very good. It's very good.
I'd watch it.
Yeah, it's very good. I love the Dustin Hoffman fucking one. That's really good.
I want to say he was actually in the running there.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. He's got that flavor, right?
That's really great. Okay, Tony, you're not going to do anything there. You don't want to touch this movie.
Nope.
Okay, so let's go over to the alternate endings. This is what you all bought your tickets for, and I'm going to give it to you.
As if we'd end the movie like that. Yeah.
Let's do the Scooby-Doo ending.
Good call.
So I'm going to ramp up the horror a little bit. Just like in the real ending, Quint is coming unraveled and becoming paranoid, and he thinks Hooper and Brody are eyeballing his $10,000 reward. So he shoots them both and uses their bodies for chum to lure the shark in. He ultimately catches and kills Jaws and tows it back to town. But when he goes to claim his reward, the mayor insists on checking the shark's stomach for confirmation that this is the killer. Brody and Hooper spill out onto the dock with visible gunshot wounds. Quint is arrested and serves life in prison for a double homicide. It's pretty
That's
fucking
pretty good.
good. It's pretty fucking good.
I mean, it makes it a different movie, but it's good.
It's pretty fucking good.
I'd watch it.
Lynn, what do you got for an alternate ending?
All right, so mine is ridiculous, but that's the fun of it. When the shark lands on the back of the boat, Quint goes flying into the water instead of into the mouth. Later, when Brody is taking aim at him, Quint is riding the shark like a bucking bronco and jumps off the shark right before it blows up. The end.
Okay, so
He lives.
Tony, who wrote the better ending again this week?
I'm sorry, Des. I gotta give it to you, man. That was good. I'd watch that.
All right. Okay, so there you go, folks. Let's do some rewatch scores, and we will log this thing for eternity. Rewatch score. So this is a perfect movie with a imperfect shark robot, but I do not care. This is a true American classic, so I'm giving it the perfect 5 that it deserves.
It was the first blockbuster. It's what made summer blockbusters what they are these days. It started Spielberg's career. Without this movie, we'd have no Raiders of the Lost Ark. We'd have no Private Ryan. We've had nothing. Our existence in the 80s and 90s would be boring as shit. It's still considered one of the scariest movies. It affected an entire generation and further of people who don't want to go into the water over their heads. It's terrifying. It's the perfect movie for me. Yeah, there's imperfect things in it. I could tear it apart all day, but you know what? I will continue to watch it every single time it's on. Every summer, I will start my summer watching it, and I'll end my summer watching it. This year being the 50th anniversary, I have plans to go to the celebration. I'm going to Martha's Vineyard. I've been doing all the things, planning it all. I'm a geek that way. Perfect 5.
Lynn.
So when we did this the first time, we ended up with a score of 4.916667 because I think Tony gave it a 5, and I think you and I might have dinged it a little bit, for the shark. But let's be honest. It was our second episode. We didn't want to come swinging out of the gate with just 5s across the board.
Yeah.
We definitely were like trying to be cool and be like, we're not going to give it a 5. It's a fucking 5. It's a 5. It deserves to be a 5. I will leave the 4.91 in there, and I've got in parentheses the first time, and I'm going to put it in at number 1 where it belongs.
Yes. There you go. So it's a perfect 5.
Yes, it is.
And tell us again where it shares the top spot with, because I like watching Tony fucking squirm every time you read these movies off.
The Matrix, Star Wars, Beverly Hills Cop, Galaxy Quest, Lethal Weapon 4, The Thing, Ghostbusters, The Rocky Horror Picture Show, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and Jaws.
No, Daddy's Home isn't on there? Daddy's Home too?
No, Daddy's Home is not there. Daddy's Home is number 10.
I think Galaxy Quest is the only one that I would question there.
I love Galaxy Quest.
It's such a great movie.
So
okay.
Lethal Weapon 4 is the one I question.
Oh, we love that movie.
See, 1, 2, and 4 are all equal to me. They're all great.
They are great.
3 is the weak link of that.
Yeah, for sure. It's fucking good shit. Okay. On our sister podcast, Violent Vinyl Radio, we will be breaking down Rat, Invasion of Your Privacy. So get over there and check that out next week. All right, so that's it. Until next time, I just have one question for you. Hey, did you ever see that movie? See you next time.
Dun it. Sharks in the salsa. Our shark.